Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Helius Medical Technologies presentation. I am Dane Andreeff, CEO of Helius Medical Technologies. I am joined today with Joyce, LaViscount, our CFO and Chief Operating Officer, and also Dr. Jonathan Sakier, our Chief Medical Officer. Helius is a leading neurotech company in the medical device industry, focusing on empowering the healing process of the brain. We have built a disruptive technology for healthcare today and well into the future. Helius is a NASDAQ-listed company under the symbol HSDT. Our legal disclaimers for Helius Medical. The portable neuromodulation stimulator, or PoNS device, is the first and only patented treatment combining trigeminal nerves neurostimulation via the tongue with physical therapy to reduce symptoms of neurological disease or trauma. In the United States, Helius has submitted to the FDA for its de novo classification, granted through the breakthrough designation pathway to treat high unmet needs in gait deficit due to multiple sclerosis. In Canada, Health Canada has approved the use of the PoNS device for chronic balance due to mild to moderate traumatic brain injury, TBI, and last year approved the use of the PoNS device in gait deficit in multiple sclerosis. With our PoNS device, we are addressing a large market opportunity in a well-known indication. There are over 1 million American patients in the U.S. suffering from MS and growing. As well, Helius Medical is pursuing other opportunities in balance and gait deficit syndromes, such as mild to moderate traumatic brain injury, TBI, which accounts for approximately 80% of all TBIs. Other neurological conditions, including stroke, cerebral palsy, and Parkinson's, are on our agenda. We have pilot studies and also a future study potential for Parkinson's. Ongoing evaluation in neurological wellness and human performance is also at the forefront of our platform technology. Today, our focus is clearly on MS. In May 2020, Helius was granted a breakthrough designation for high unmet needs in gait deficit for MS patients. Companies that receive the de novo classification through the FDA's breakthrough designation pathway are allowed a prioritized review. It allows our experienced team at Helius to interact with the FDA to address any topics that may arise through the application process. Helius is also interacting and working with leading industry experts in MS to prepare for commercialization. Under Helius's breakthrough designation pathway and potential FDA clearance, CMS has introduced not a pending reimbursement policy, but it is a brand new reimbursement policy as of last Tuesday of that week. And it will allow our PoNS device to be reimbursed for its first 4 years post-clearance. This new reimbursement pathway gives Helius access to more than 70 million Americans under CMS. And we are well prepared. For the last 2 years in Canada has been our test bed both commercially and clinically. Helius first received Health Canada approval for our PoNS device for treatment of gait and balance deficit for mild to moderate TBI in the fourth quarter of 2018. We started commercializing the PoNS treatment beginning with 2 clinics in early 2019, which now has grown to well over 31 clinics across Canada today. In March of 2020, we received Health Canada approval for the treatment of gait deficit due to symptoms of MS, followed by our FDA breakthrough designation in May. We have requested de novo classification where 60% of the companies receive clearance in 150 days. Helius is looking forward to a potential first half 2021 FDA clearance in our MS indication. And starting in 2022, we expect to start commercializing of the PoNS device. Helius has a well-experienced senior management team. I'm Dane Andreeff. I'm the CEO and member of the board, and I also sit on 2 other healthcare boards. I'm joined today by Joyce LaViscount, who has over 30 years of experience in healthcare as our CFO and Chief Operating Officer. As well, Dr. Jonathan Sacchi has joined us as our Chief Medical Officer. And Mark Lino, head of our Canadian operations, has done a terrific job commercializing across Canada. Our board of directors are led by Blaine Walter, co-founder of Inventive Health, a publicly traded CRO CSO company, Syneos. Jeff Mathiasen has multiple years of CFO experience at a publicly traded companies. Ed Straw is a retired 3-star admiral who brings his experience in government relations. And finally, Mitch Tyler is our co-founder and co-inventor, coming to us from the University of Wisconsin at Madison. The PoNS device, combined with physical therapy, treats gait and balance deficit in MS and mild to moderate TBI, respectively. It is a 14-week treatment, twice a day for 20 minutes, in combination with physical therapy, where the first 2 weeks are in a neuro-PT clinical setting, and the last 12 weeks are completed at home. The PoNS device gently stimulates the surface of the tongue, exciting the neural network flowing to the brain. This neural activity is believed to enable neuroplasticity, a changing of the brain, which may restore lost function. Now let's look at the science for a minute. As you can see, the PoNS device is using the tongue as the entry point that has access to the very direct route to the brain. Call it a superhighway to the neural network of the brain that allows for a non-surgical, non-implantable access of our PoNS mouthpiece. The 143 electrodes on the PoNS device gently stimulates the trigeminal nerve. The trigeminal nerve is one of the 12 cranial nerves that has the greatest contact area around the brain. Many patients state that the 25 million pulses per 20-minute treatment tingles when introduced to the surface of the tongue for the first time, kind of like champagne popping. The only side effect is the generation of excess saliva while in use for a small portion of our patients. With pleasure, I'll share with you the first of our 2 studies in MS. This is the results from a functional MRI study in Canada with 14 patients that showed positive results in specific areas of the brain related to motor control when using the PoNS device and PT, which is Group A, versus against a non-stimulating placebo device and PT, Group B. Before and after imaging of MS patients, it clearly shows the 3 areas of the brain seeing a dramatic increase in activity in blood oxygen, glucose, and blood flow in Group A, the PoNS device. Our Tyler study in MS clearly shows a dramatic improvement in the dynamic gait index over the 14-week treatment. Although the non-stimulating placebo device and PT Group 2 shows an early improvement in gait deficit, which is frankly just PT alone, it starts declining after week 10 versus a continued improvement of the PoNS treatment and clinically significant p-values starting in week 6 through week 14. Helius has an extensive patent portfolio that covers all aspects of brain stimulation through the tongue in combination with physical therapy and cognitive therapy. Essentially, Helius owns the 5th avenue of neurostimulation pathway, that is the tongue. Our legal team, Proskauer, has done a terrific job to extend our IP portfolio out to 2040, protecting our technology and innovation. Currently, there is a massive gap in treating and managing neurological disorders for balance and gait deficit. Both physicians and patients have limited options. Many are turning to prescription drugs to manage symptoms, and over-the-counter drugs are often recommended for mild symptoms. There are various forms of therapy, including mental and physical, and even surgery. Multiple sclerosis, as we mentioned earlier, affects more than 1 million Americans. Of that group, 41% have difficulty walking, and 13% lose the ability to walk weekly. Helius has a massive opportunity in the US for MS. The current MS market for gait deficit is a large, well-established pathway with a current MS value pool greater than $500 million a year. This creates an opportunity for the PoNS device to directly access and address the established MS gait deficit population and to ease the low efficacy of medication. The competitive marketplace has built awareness with doctors and patients. It has produced aggregate sales of well over $3.4 billion over the last decade. Building trust in the MS market begins with understanding the unmet needs of those living with the disease. MS is a well-characterized chronic disease. Education and awareness continues to grow, as do those diagnosed. Once the diagnosis occurs, all MS patients meet regularly with their neurologist. This is a small group of around 16,000 doctors across America. For the MS patient, gait dysfunction, which is their balance, is one of their biggest concerns. And we know this because they're very active on social media and through their MS organizations. New technologies and treatments are quickly amplified into the MS community, and that is good news for the potential of the PoNS device. Receiving approval from Health Canada in March has allowed Helius to test several commercial pathways. To date, we have treated 42 MS patients, and close to 60% of them had improvement in gait deficit. And these patients in Canada took their good news and shared their stories with the media. Helius has been featured in national publications and across TV networks. Building off the success and the lessons learned in Canada, the US has significantly higher population, 10 times greater, and we will continue to build strong relationships with the MS societies. The two markets tend to be very similar. And we learned in Canada how important it is to educate our key opinion leaders is for our new technology. This past fall, we partnered up with KOLs to form the new Helius MS Scientific Advisory Board. The individuals, mostly doctors from the top health centers in the United States, from Cleveland Clinic, Kessler, and Shepherd, to name a few. These members will give their perspective, knowledge, and advice. This will be critical to our efforts to build awareness of how our PoNS technology may enhance neuro rehab outcomes. Touching quickly on our international strategy, we have a strategic agreement with China Medical Systems, one of our larger investors. CMS will work with us on development and commercialization of PoNS in China, plus 4 other territories. However, this won't begin until clearance in the United States. We will use the relevant documentation in the US for approval in China. Back home, we are keeping an eye on stroke patients as our next regulatory pathway. Nearly 800,000 Americans will have a stroke in 2021 to go along with 7 million existing stroke patients. Experts believe these numbers will double over the next 1 to 2 decades. More than half of the stroke victims suffer from reduced mobility if they are over 65. Falls are the leading cause of related deaths among elderly people in the United States. Presently, we've completed an excellent pilot study, which has been published. We are a leading neurological platform technology. So allow me to be brief on some of the other areas we see great potential. Yes, we are cleared in Canada to focus on mild to moderate traumatic brain injury, and we have an additional study planned for the United States. For cerebral palsy, we have just completed a pilot study and are looking forward to having it peer reviewed. Parkinson's disease will be part of a future study. We are also well aware of the value to a larger market of baby boomers looking into neurological wellness space and human performance. Here's a quick snapshot of our current cap table and ownership. Personally, I doubled my ownership in Helius in the October raise to 6.3%. Also, we have warrants, if exercised, could bring in an additional $4.5 million in capital to Helius. We are well positioned into 2021 with our FDA breakthrough designation for MS. This will set us up for the first 4 years of the new CMS reimbursement policy, allowing us access to 70 million Americans. We have successfully commercialized into 21 neuro rehab PT clinics across Canada and expect more growth in the future. This will allow us to leverage our existing Canadian infrastructure into the US for 2022. We are the first and only treatment to restore lost function by stimulating the trigeminal nerve via the tongue, supported by an extensive patent portfolio. And through our patents, again, we believe we own the fifth avenue in neurostimulation, which is the tongue. Again, thank you for your time. I'm Dane Andreeff, the CEO of Helius Medical Technologies, and we're happy to answer any of your questions.
All right, Dane, thank you. I'm Michael Kupinski, the Director of Research. I'm sitting in for Joe Gomes, so I'm going to take the questions. And just as a reminder, to ask a question, if you look for that little bubble in your viewer on the bottom right-hand corner, just go ahead and press that and then type in your questions, and I will get to as many questions as we can. Dane, I was wondering if you can chat a little bit about the manufacturing and your ability to ramp your manufacturing at this point.
Joyce, do you want to take that?
Yes, so our manufacturing is done by Keytronics out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. We have been working with them since 2017 and getting our scale manufacturing in place. We have ample capacity at this point to have them manufacture for our forecasts through the next 4 or 5 years. And beyond that point in time, we have the capability to expand to other international markets when the economies of scale warrant it.
Great. And we do have a question from a viewer here. You mentioned 42 patients have been treated with PoNS. However, this viewer missed the results. And also in an earlier slide, you showed results of 10 patients. Is that considered a statistically significant sample at this point?
Joyce, do you want to take the first part?
Yeah, so the 42 patients were 42 MS patients that were treated in the year ending 12/31/19, and those are the patients whose data was used to submit to both Health Canada as well as FDA as part of our real-world evidence. We have continued to treat those patients. They're on label in Canada, and we've continued to treat throughout 2020, but that wasn't part of the original data set.
Yep. And the second part of that question, there was 2 MS trials that earned us and granted us the FDA breakthrough designation. The first trial was the fMRI trial done in Canada. That was 14 patients. And the second trial was the Tyler study, which was 20 patients. So a total of 34 between the two.
Gotcha. And you mentioned, Dane, in your presentation about U.S. reimbursements. Can you talk about what those reimbursements mean for the company?
Well, go ahead, Joyce.
Yeah. So from a reimbursement perspective, with a MS designation, with a breakthrough designation and clearance, we will be able to participate in the Medicare coverage of innovative technologies. And that's the program that Dane had referenced in his presentation. There's, 60 million Medicare patients that would be able to access the PoNS. We would go through the full process of getting CMS accreditation in order to be able to distribute to those patients. And it's 4 years of CMS coverage, and the coverage period starts once we launch the product. So if we were to get an earlier clearance, say in June of 2021, and we weren't going to launch until the first quarter of 2022, that 4-year period, that 4-year window would start when we launched in the first quarter of 2022. So it gives us a chance to put our infrastructure in place once we get the clearance, and you don't lose those additional months in between clearance and launch.
And another question that has come in, you indicated that the device has numerous indications. Can you walk through the approval process for us?
Yes. So we sent in our de novo application through the breakthrough designation pathway on August 4th of 2020. And the FDA guides 60% of the companies receive clearance within 150 days. In October, what transpired and stopped that clock was we received a formal additional information letter with additional questions by the FDA. Last Monday, we did respond formally and press release that we sent in our formal responses to the FDA, so that additional clock starts again when you send in your formal response.
And then another question has come in. Can you talk a little bit about your capital needs going forward?
Joyce, do you want to take that?
Sure. So what we've been doing is we've been raising money opportunistically as we continue to fund our operations. We have been managing diligently our burn rate, and our cash balance as of the end of September was about $2.7 million. We raised about $3.4 million in our private placement that was done at the end of October. So, as we look at our cash needs, we continue at, the same burn rate that we had throughout 2020. We also have the opportunity to, we have some warrants, and, some of the warrants are pretty close to being in the money right now. And so, that's an additional source of funding for us. And, throughout 2021, we'll look at, what our needs are and what cash is available, and make sure that we do things in a way that doesn't dilute our shareholders, but at the same time gives us the capital that we need to manage the business.
And can you talk a little bit about your margin goals and what would be sustainable margins going forward?
So from a gross margin perspective, as we look at, the product side, we're looking at, 60 to 65% margins is what we're looking at. We have not only the cost of the devices, but we also have the royalties that we need to pay to the inventors, as well as putting our distribution network in place. Overall, over time, we would we will be investing more heavily at launch, as you would expect, to build the market. We have a novel product, a novel technology that we need to put the infrastructure in place, and that infrastructure gets monetized as the volume increases over time. So, we'll be looking. We're not giving any official, margin guidance at this point in time. We're working through all the details of what that looks like, especially with this opportunity with CMS and the Medicare coverage. That will give us the opportunity to, build our infrastructure. It'll give us the opportunity to have revenue right out of the gate, and also the exposure to commercial insurers that, can become familiar with our product and the coding and everything else. So, a lot of work still to be done in that front, and we will communicate as we, solidify our plans and our timing.
And then a couple of other viewer questions, and I think some clarification, Dane. It sounds like from a viewer. I think you were talking about indications. Certainly in Canada, you're hopeful that you'll get soon approval in the U.S. And then I think we're talking about China as being another market that you might work on next. Is there anything else in terms of China or any involvement in China? That outside of what you were talking there, I guess the viewer was kind of trying to understand China's involvement.
Yeah, so it's really China Medical. China Medical is the largest distributor seller of medical devices in China. They are one of our larger investors. So once our potential clearance becomes cleared at the FDA, we could use those documents, that clearance to apply for Chinese clearance as well. So, we do need our first hunting license to go into China, and that's coming from the United States first. So, which is our largest market.
Okay.
And opportunity. Yeah.
I didn't mean to overspeak. How much does let's see, I'm trying to address this question. How much does purchasing of the device cost a hospital or healthcare provider?
So at this point in time, until we get our pricing through the MCIT program, we're really not in a position to look at exactly what that will look like. We will come up with what our standard price is, and then depending on who the customer is and the rest and where the coverage comes from, it will be discounted appropriately. But that pricing work gets done directly with CMS, and we're just starting that process with them.
And Dane, you mentioned human performance potential. I was wondering if you can just, I guess I'm hanging up on the word potential. I'm not sure what you mean by that. I was wondering if you can explain that to me.
Yeah, sure. So, if you think about just all of us sitting down and doing a crossword puzzle, and we're normal people, and, we test, you doing a New York Times crossword puzzle before stimulating your tongue with the PoNS device, and then do it after. And frankly, we understand that we are sending, energy, and a spark through the neural network to the brain. We've already proven that blood oxygen, glucose, and blood flow in experimental studies are proven just by stimulating your tongue and your trigeminal nerve. So the question now is, does it improve cognitively how you perform? In this example, it would be the New York Times crossword puzzle. If you do it 2 minutes faster, I think that would be beneficial and would be exciting to see to do a study like that. And there's a host of studies we could do in wellness, prophylactically, blood flow to the brain, of course, that we could do in the near future. So I look forward to doing some of those.
And Dane, you mentioned that you're the interim CEO. I was wondering if you could just update us on maybe the search for a CEO or what that process looks like.
Sure. So, I came in from the board in August of last year to reposition and truly change the direction so that we create shareholder value for all shareholders. 1, 2, I'm taking no compensation. I doubled the stake in the company to 6.3%. And when I say no compensation, I'm not taking a salary or stock options. I'm really working closely with a really deep, well-experienced bench of 23 people. And it's very exciting in what we're doing. To answer your question a little further, we need to get to clearance, and we really believe we could find a higher quality CEO post-clearance than pre-clearance. So we are, talking to people, looking at people every day, but we believe, to get the best person, you know, as a CEO, it'd be post-clearance.
Sounds like you're really aligned with the shareholders. With that, I do not see additional questions. I'll just give me a pause here for another second or so and see if there's additional questions. We have one more that just came in.
Right.
They would like to continue the conversation. So this person is just asking for a one-on-one, so we'll have to set that up later for them.
Sure. Happy to.
Yeah, I'm sure, right? So with that, I don't have any further questions, and it seems like we've exhausted everybody else's out there. So thank you for your presentation today. Greatly appreciate that.
Great. Thanks, Michael, and thank you to Noble. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much.